Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles. As many of you know, I love helping trainers, presenters really take their results to the next level and alleviate any frustrations they have when they're first starting out training, presenting, running workshops. And even if you've been training and presenting for a long time, I want to share with you content that's really going to empower you along your journey so that your audience get better experiences and you as a presenter, trainer, facilitator, whatever you call yourself, have an even better experience as you're facilitating. So in today's topic, I want to get into the area of time management because I was speaking to a fellow facilitator yesterday, and he was saying that a lot of the trainees that he was coming across were facing the difficulty of going over time. And it kind of fascinates me a little bit because for me, going over time is one of the most disrespectful things that you can ever do as a trainer or facilitator. Because what you're ultimately saying is that what we're doing right now is more important than anything else that you've already got scheduled in your life. And as an audience member, the last thing that you want is that your time is taken away from you. And you do not want to be sitting there in the room and unable to leave because something's still going on. Or maybe you feel trapped and maybe you're feeling frustrated because you've got somewhere else to be, but you can't leave because that would be rude. And ultimately, as a trainer, presenter, facilitator, coach, whatever you are, you have to respect your audience's time. You have to show that you value their commodity of time which they are giving to you. And what we often find is that running out of content is less of an issue for people because they can generally fill that. But what we find is that people going over time is a significant thing that really impacts an audience and actually their perception of you as a leader in the room. And great leaders are very respectful, and great leaders know that if they break that rapport with the audience, they're going to lose the power to influence. And not managing your time looks very unprofessional. Not managing someone else's time, now that's extremely unprofessional. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into four simple things that you can actually do in order to make sure that you never, ever, ever go over time. Because in my life as a trainer presenter, in the last probably 11 years, I've probably gone over time maybe like 3 times because I am so committed to respecting people's time. And I really want to encourage you to step into that reality as well. So, number one is making the decision to be conscious of time. Now, some people are very conscious of time, other people are not. They just, flow through time. And that's totally fine. But in the world of training presenting, you have to be conscious of time. So, number one, make the decision to become conscious. Make a decision to actually go, no, this is an important thing and I need to dedicate myself to it. So, number one, make the decision. And as you're training presenting, make the decision to watch your time. And we'll talk about watching in just a second. But basically, what I mean by that is being conscious of it. Okay, second thing, have multiple ways to actually be conscious of your time. So if you're presenting online, then you've got your little clock in the laptop. Maybe you've got your own watch. Maybe you've got a stopwatch, a physical stopwatch. Maybe you've got something else. Maybe you've got an iPad with a stopwatch app on it. But if you're in the face-to-face environment, same deal. Have multiple ways to actually monitor your time. And what I highly recommend that you do is put a clock at the bottom under the stage where you're actually presenting, where you can see it, but the audience cannot. If you're a professional speaker, if you're presenting from stage, they will often have a timer down the bottom of the stage where you can actually see that, and they will count down the minutes, right? And if you go over time in some seminar circuits, you will actually be charged for that. So there's an extra incentive to actually not go over time there. But in the world of facilitating workshops, highly recommend that you have multiple ways to track your time. Maybe you got your watch, stopwatch, you've got your app. But what I don't recommend is using your phone because your phone is actually going to be an issue if the phone rings or you get a text message or something like that. People will notice that, all right? And it will take you away from what's happening right now and it'll take you away from being present for your audience. And anything that's a distraction, breaks rapport. All right. So number one, to make the decision, be conscious of it. Number two, have multiple ways to actually monitor your time. Number three, what I recommend that you do is Whatever you think something is going to take, if you think something's going to take 5 minutes, double it. All right. And if you think it's going to take a certain period of time to complete something, be conscious that there's going to be things that actually expand out that time. So, what I mean by that is if you're running an activity, you need to actually factor in the time that it takes to actually hand out the handouts. You need to factor in the time that it takes to deliver the instructions. You need to factor in the time that it's going to take for people to ask questions before the activity or after the activity. All of these things are going to stretch out the amount of time it takes for you to complete the activity in class or in your workshop, so to speak. And what we often find is that people don't factor that in. And as a result, their activities, they try and people will rush through them, or, it'll get to the end of the day and, things haven't been done or haven't been completed, or the workshop goes overtime. See it all the time. Now, next thing. So that one was whatever you think it's going to take, double it. Now, the next thing, what I highly recommend is, as I speak and as I've spoken in other workshops and other videos, ultimately you need to define what is your core content. What is the thing that's going to really lead to the biggest change in transformation in your audience? And as I've talked about in other videos, we talk about topic, outcome, activities. Topic, outcome, activities. And you need to find what's your topic, what's the outcome that you want to create within your workshop and within your presentation, whatever it may be, and what are the activities that, as much as possible, are going to lead to that happening. Well, what we often find, though, is that people will try and put in too many things, and as a result, they kind of dilute their message. What I want to suggest to you is ultimately have your core activity, and aside to that, have your optionals and have your extras. What I mean by that is, if find the thing that's going to create the biggest difference, make sure that that is done. And then if you have time left over, have your optional things that you can add in. And if you have that mentality, you'll never go overtime. You won't, because you're like, all right, to this session, my workshop, this is the topic, this is the outcome, and this is the core activity we are going to get done no matter what. Then drill down on that. Make sure that happens. If you've got time afterwards, you can add in extra things if you want to. But if you approach it the other way around and go, I want to cover this and this and this and this and this, then you start to go, oh, I'm running out of time. Well, that's because you were not really focused on the ultimate outcome. What's your outcome? What are you trying to achieve? And then unpack your activities from there. It's the core thing that that if people did in your workshop, they would have that transformation that you're looking to really create. Okay. So let's recap. Number one, be more conscious of your time and know that going overtime is not acceptable. It's just not. All right. You cannot ever go overtime. Second, have multiple ways to monitor your time, right? Clock, stopwatch, whatever it is, right? Have multiple ways to do it, but don't do it with your phone. And don't do it with a smartwatch if you can, all right? Number three is whatever you think it's going to take, double it. Factor in the extra time to organize stuff. Last of all, drill down to what are the core things that are really going to create the transformation, and then have extra things to add in if you've got the time. Hope you got some value from this video, but please be respectful to your audience. Never go overtime. You can go under time. That's cool, because there's always extra things that you can add in, stories, take questions, tangents you can go on to. But at the end of the day, always respect people's time. So important. And when you don't, it'll be significantly noticed, right? On that note, hope you got some value. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really important to subscribe so that you get notified when these videos come out. On that note, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.